Let me ask you something. Picture someone wealthy. In your picture, you must have a luxurious car owner, a person who is wearing designer clothes, and probably many of you would think of a castle. But here is the twist. Mr. Housel in this chapter says, spending money to show how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Yeah, hear that again. This chapter hits you hard because it's a reminder. This chapter is essential for anybody who is stuck in a cycle where he's spending money to look rich while sacrificing his freedom. This chapter talks about the invisible side of wealth and why unseen is far more powerful than what is on display. The chapter I will be talking about in this video is Wealth is What You Don't See. My key takeaways from this chapter are wealth isn't flashy. Wealth is what is saved. It could be either investments or not the money that has been spent. People often spend money to look wealthy, but the real wealth is invisible. The more you spend to show that you are rich, the less money you have. Being rich is having money. Being wealthy is keeping it. True wealth equals freedom, security, and options, not luxurious items. Most people confuse material success with financial success, and that ruins them. Now let's take a jump into my deeper notes. The lesson number 1 which I took from this chapter is the illusion of rich. Many of us fall in this trap where we see someone driving a luxurious car or living in a hi-fi apartment or people who are wearing Rolexes. We often consider that as wealth. But what we really are witness to is the spending of wealth. And Morgan says, wealth is the nice cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, and the watches not worn. See, all that we are looking at, we think that is what is making them wealthy. But it is the invisible things that makes a person wealthy. The invisible things that we don't see, such as the investments or their savings and their freedom to control over their time. That is real wealth. And when you understand this, you get to know that wealth does not shout, it whispers. With that, it brings me to the next takeaway from this chapter, which is rich versus wealthy. There is a difference. When I read this line, I was surprised. Morgan says, wealth is what you don't see, and rich is what you see. Rich is income. Wealth is what is left after you have spent your money. And here's the kicker. Many people spend so much money to look rich that they never become wealthy. And the people who are trying to buy things to look rich are actually hiding their insecurities. And we see it all over the world. With that, it brings me to the next key takeaway which I took from this chapter, which is status spending trap. We often spend money to impress others, whether on the person or buying something. But you have to understand, a lot of people pretend to care, and a lot of them are not even entertained by it. And Morgan says, we tend to judge wealth by what we see, because that is all that we can see. But the real wealth is hidden. Many people are pretenders. That luxurious house that you see might be drowning in debt because of mortgage. That car leased with no emergency savings behind him. The lavish lifestyle, it could be funded by stress and not surplus. We need to flip the switch and stop admiring people, possession, and their show-offs. And with that, it brings me to the next key takeaway from the chapter, which is be quiet. By reading this chapter, I have understood that my goal is not to impress others. My goal is to have peace of mind and financial freedom and financial flexibility. I want the freedom to say no to things that I don't want to do and yes to things that I want to do. I want that freedom where I don't need to worry about how to pay the rent of next month That is my goal. For me, that is what my first goal looks like to me. And with that, it brings me to the final takeaway from this chapter, which is value what is invisible. This chapter is small, but it has helped me to question my spending and help me understand that wealth is silent. Have these as your target. First, if you feel rich, buy liabilities. Second, if you want to be wealthy, buy freedom. And lastly, if you want to stay wealthy, you have to stop trying to look rich. And then Morgan ends this chapter with a very powerful line, which is wealth is created by surpassing by what you could buy today to have more options for tomorrow. In other words, wealth is to restrain. And with that, it brings me to the end of this video. This chapter has been so helpful and it is a masterclass on anybody who is trying to look rich. He needs to hear this. And tell me if you ever felt the pressure to look rich, or have you ever compared yourself with people? This chapter should be an awakened call for you, because the real MVPs, they are not loud, they don't show off, they are free. I'll be seeing you in my next video where I'll be talking about the next chapter. The title of it is so beautiful. It is to understand the importance of saving.